Aluxers, a man's reputation is a valuable asset. F it up and it's difficult to get back. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. Reputations are formed when you're young. I bet you still remember the mean kid in your class or the girl who always would throw tantrums. We do grow up from our kid selves, but people remember those traits. Aluxers, you can recover from a bad reputation, but there are 10 things you should avoid to ensure you don't damage it in the first place. Number 1. Playing the blame game. Finger pointing, it wasn't my fault, and not taking responsibility for your actions are a definite way to ruin your reputation. When a man doesn't take responsibility for his actions, he's no longer a man. It's one of the first signs that differentiate boys from men. And like we said in our video, 15 differences between men and boys, men take responsibility for their actions. Boys make excuses. Blame is a defense mechanism. People use it to protect their own self-esteem. If we accept we messed up, people place so much more value on us than if we play the blame game. Own it. Fix it. It might be easier to pin the blame on someone else, but long-term, it does nothing for your reputation. Number 2. Being a player. It's pretty damn difficult to treat a man with respect who treats women or men as sexual objects. We're not saying don't go out and enjoy yourself occasionally, but there is a difference. A one-night stand or a few wild nights is usually an unspoken agreement between both parties that you're both aware it's just for the sex and it's not going anywhere. However, being a player is quite a process. It's stringing someone along for the sole benefit of having sex and then leaving them high and dry and starting all over again. It's an abuse of trust, an abuse of power, and it just drips with egotism. You may believe your friends think you're the man, but Aluxers, players are losers and their reputations precede them. Like Socrates once said, the way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. And if you like Socrates as much as we do, be sure to watch our video, 15 Business Lessons from Socrates. Number 3. Aggressive driving and road rage. A guy may appear to be a gentleman, but put him behind a wheel and he becomes an utter jerk. That's reputation damage material right there. You'll get branded with small pee-pee syndrome, so no tambourine for you. We like what the Bulgarians like to shout at bad drivers. May you build a house from your kidney stones. You can really tell a lot about a person by seeing how they drive. People that tailgate, flash their lights at you when you're driving the actual speed limit, who flip the middle finger and say the most awful things, usually have a bad reputation attached to them. And guys, when someone points out your shitty driving, the correct answer is not, but did you die? Number 4. Substance abuse. Aluxers, it's a no-brainer. Any form of substance abuse is going to damage your reputation. Even if you think that getting drunk or stoned are minor in comparison to harder drugs, you're still not painting yourself in a positive, good light. If you find you're struggling to go a day without relying on some sort of narcotic or alcoholic beverage to get you through, we encourage you to seek professional help. We understand that life can be challenging, and your addiction might have started off mildly with the occasional indulgence to take the edge off, but these occasional indulgences quickly escalate to an addiction, and you need to be wary of that happening. It takes many years to get better, and it can do serious damage to your reputation. Take solid advice from Robert Downey Jr., who has walked this path before. He said, smoking dope and smoking coke, you're rendered defenseless. The only way out of that hopelessness state is intervention. Number 5. Having a big ego. There will come a time when someone will say to you, feed your own ego, I'm busy, when they've had enough of yours taking up all the room. Anyone with an oversized ego is just unpleasant to be around. The thing with egos is we stop learning new things. We think we know everything already and it stands in the way of growth. And Aluxers, don't confuse self-esteem with ego. They are not the same. A big ego is a sign of an insecure man, whereas a man with high self-esteem is confident in himself, but aware of his shortcomings and actively works on them. So, do you have a big ego? Here's how to find out. Every conversation is about yourself. You don't take advice. You protect yourself above others, and you're overly critical and jealous. Not a single one of those traits is doing your reputation any good. And next up, how lying damages reputations and how you can recover from it. Number 6. Lying is your go-to habit. Tell a lie once and all of your truths become questionable. Hey Luxers, never a truer word has been spoken. We've all been lied to and it feels so crappy. It makes you feel worthless and like you're not valued enough to receive the truth. Worse, you never really trust that person again, do you? You will always kind of doubt what they tell you going forward, and it takes a long time to recover from the damage the lie has caused. Firstly, own up to it, admit that you lied, and then say you're sorry. Don't make excuses for it, but do offer a logical explanation. Then, damage control to amend the situation, and lastly, don't ever do it again. Hey Luxers, what lies have you been spun before? See if any of them match our lies in our video. 15 lies you've been told. Number 7. Being a hypocrite. Practice what you preach. Let your actions match your words. It's better to be an outspoken atheist than a hypocrite, the pot calling the kettle black, and we can go on. It all boils down to the same thing. Have one truth. Imagine you work with someone who's all about saving animals, but then you see that person kicking a dog. People are being called out for their hypocrisy. Take Ricky Gervais, for example. He called out Hollywood hypocrites at the Golden Globe Awards this year when he said, "Apple roared into the TV game with The Morning Show, a superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China." From there, the hashtag Hollywood Hypocrites was born. Hey Luxers, can you see now how important it is to have your values and your actions in sync? And on the way, how you could land up behind bars by doing something that already damages your reputation. Number 8. Misusing social media. Guys, holding on to your reputation in this day and age is way harder than it was a century ago. Hell, it's more difficult than it was 15 years ago. The internet has this uncanny ability to hold on to information forever, and even though one can delete things off of the internet, there's no certainty that someone hasn't already downloaded your indiscretion or taken a screenshot. Internet regrets affect 1 in 5 Americans, and many of those regrets do a lot of damage to a man's reputation. Millennials are said to have the most internet regrets, with a survey conducted by YouGov Omnibus claiming that most feared their posts made them look foolish and would negatively affect their careers and future relationships. As an example, you might remember a few years ago, Justine Sacco was on a flight from New York to South Africa. She was a senior director of corporate communications at IAC. We say was because after this internet regret, she was fired. She tweeted, "Going to Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white." Number 9. Taking credit for someone else's work. We all know that guy, the one who takes all the glory after the project has been completed. Nobody likes that guy. He's the Karen of guys. We call him Steve. And Steve doesn't really know much about integrity or ethics, and it's not uncommon for Steve to take credit for someone else's work. So don't be a Steve. Hey Luxers, it may feel like you're doing your reputation good when you bring forward a fabulous idea, but if the idea isn't yours, it's dishonest and just makes you look more incompetent. Warren Buffett gives sound advice when it comes to reputation. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Number 10. Abusing people's trust. We mentioned how valuable a man's reputation is, and when you go around spreading gossip about a person, you're essentially damaging someone's reputation, and Aluxers, we're not about that life. Spreading stories and sharing information that someone has entrusted to you is a complete no-go area if you want to keep your reputation intact. Spreading gossip and rumors says more about you than it does about the person you're speaking to, and it also makes people distrust you, because if you're speaking about other people, who's to say you won't be speaking about them the moment their back is turned? And be careful, because if you were taken to court because of something you said, you could even go to jail and have to pay a hefty fine for defamation of character. Australian actor Geoffrey Rush was recently awarded $2.9 million Australian dollars when he won his defamation case against Rupert Murdoch's Nationwide News. So unless what you're saying is true and you can back it up with fact, keep your mouth shut. And with that, Aluxers, we're at the end, but we've merely scratched the surface of ways that men can damage their reputation. What can you add to the list, Aluxers? Tell us in the comments. And of course, for sticking with us until the end, here's your bonus. If you had to name one person who has severely damaged their reputation, it would be a difficult choice, wouldn't it? We narrowed it down to Harvey Weinstein and Prince Andrew and decided to go with Weinstein. We wanted to remind you of what not to do. Weinstein was outed for sexual assault, misconduct, and harassment. His many sexual offenses and bad behavior was the catalyst behind the #MeToo movement. It's a stark reminder that people will no longer accept or tolerate this type of behavior, and regardless of how rich or famous you might be, you cannot buy a great reputation. We hope you enjoyed today's video, Aluxers. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily videos.